welcome back, folks. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Neil Prasad, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight along with my co-host Jason Rule from iLeague Wireless. Tonight's episode, we're in for a real treat, folks. As for those of you who are new here, this is the Hustlemode podcast. We're now entering our 7th episode. Glad that you took time out of your precious day to join us. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the right there. Be sure to stay in the know and hit that notification bell. We always launch a new pod and episode every Monday at 10 a.m. sharp. For those of you who got us between your ears, make sure that you download this latest episode. You're going to want to save this for sure, 100%, especially if you're into the retail bricks and mortar space operating in Ontario at this current time. It is Monday, April the 26th, and it is a little after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're bringing you here today, live and direct, Mr. Randy Moss. And no, sorry, not the football legend Randy Moss, folks. But we had a little discussion about that earlier on. But Randy Moss, the jeweler, president, owner, CEO, Randor Jewellery, located in Toronto on Queen Street. Randy's got quite the journey for us, and we're excited to delve in on what it takes to be a recognized, respected jeweler, successful jeweler operating in the Toronto landscape. So Randy, by way of getting to know you and introducing you to the folks, why don't you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
So you've basically covered the topic. It's Randor Jewellery. I've been in the jewelry business for over 40 years, trained as a gemologist by Gemological Institute of America. Been in the wholesale distribution and as well in the B2C, business to consumer end of the business for about 15 years, but in total, over 40 years. I actually studied gemology in California way back in 1981.
Wow.
So I'm dating myself a little bit.
It's quite the journey. And what took you to California?
Just the fact that the leading gemological institute called GIA, Gemological Institute of America, is located in California. They have one location in California. And at that time, it was in Santa Monica, California. Now it's in Carlsbad, California. And there's another location in New York. Mm-hmm. But for the education facilities, the campus was in Santa Monica, California. So that's what took me to California.
I've actually been to Carlsbad, California, funny enough. I went to a sales conference there and I went to this fantastic golf course. Yeah, it's just north of San Diego, I believe, right? Carlsbad?
Yes.
Yeah. So in the south part, yeah. So there was a golf course. I can't remember what it was, but it was a private golf course, probably the best golf course I've ever been to. A lot of ocean views and good tee boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, Carlsbad, yeah, California.
Yeah. Sounds like the school too. It's right, like it's near the ocean. From the school, you can see the ocean.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's gemology is an interesting business and definitely. So one of the things, Randy, I know for our audience, to make sure that they know you a little bit more, maybe we can spend a little bit of time, aside from just introducing Randor Jewellery as a business and as your current enterprise. Maybe give us a little bit of history about how you got started in the business, because we had a chat prior to the call, or prior to this earlier, and you told us a great story about sort of how you started from humble beginnings, aside from just getting your gemology designation. But then how did you get going? How did the hustle begin for you? Like, where did you start as it related to being in business? Because again, getting a degree and getting a certificate is just one thing, but then how did your hustle begin? Like, how did you start the business, Randy?
Well, if I go back even further to the beginnings before studying gemology, it actually all relates back to sports and basketball. I was playing rep ball in Montreal. Okay. And one of our assistant coaches was a jeweler. He's about 10, 12 years older than I was, I guess, 10, maybe 15 years older than I was, but went to the same high school. We we hit it off. I guess he trusted me enough that he hired me part-time. I worked in his jewelry business in Montreal, and he's similar to what I'm doing now, in that he was doing B2B as well as B2C. And this was back in 1979. And so he was the one that actually encouraged me to study gemology and go to Santa Monica, California, to learn, to take the course on campus. And that's where it all started. I came back from Santa Monica, California, and started working with him for nearly a year. But although I did enjoy gemology, I wanted to get outdoors. I wanted to, not outdoors, but I wanted to get out on the road. I wanted to meet with jewelers. He had already been established as a B2B enterprise. He was traveling to Western Canada. He had a good following. He was a designer, and he was traveling to Western Canada. And that was something I wanted to do, but he felt I wasn't ready yet. I was only 20, 21 years old at the time. Yeah. Still fairly young. So I ended up, leaving Montreal and moving to Toronto. I had an opportunity to get started with a company out of Montreal as well. Again, Montreal was a manufacturing hub of Canada, more or less, for jewelry and for the clothing business and whatnot. A lot of clothing manufacturing goes back to Montreal. So I was repping a line of gold product, again, not completely related to diamonds, but still in the jewelry business, repping gold product for manufacturers in Montreal. And I was literally working from the trunk of my car 4 or 5 days, probably more like 5 days a week, just going from store to store, from business to business, all over Southern Ontario. Wholesalers, retailers. Yeah.
So were you like a product rep, Randy, where your role was to showcase a line of jewelry to the retailers? So there would already be predefined designs, predefined rings, predefined chains, gold, everything. Was that the?
Yeah, back in the early 80s, the popular products in gold were gold chains. We used to wear a lot of gold chains.
Everybody, about that earlier.
People have 4, 5, 6 chains, and that seems to be coming back in style on a more subtle scale for women. They're wearing multiple layers of gold chains. Yeah. But charms and chains were huge in the early 80s. And it wasn't really branded product. It was generic product, Okay. The things we used to sell makes me laugh. Playboy bunnies. We were actually trademark infringing upon Playboy at the time. And the whole industry as a whole, the industry did get letters from Playboy for cease and desist from producing, but Playboy bunny charms, eagle charms, cars, trucks, Corvettes, anything you could think of. We were making charms, and we were selling them mass-produced, manufactured in Montreal. I went from selling, the first jeweler I worked for was Thomas Jewelry in Montreal, Tom Alt. Okay. Again, a basketball player, well-established jeweler in Montreal, very well respected across Canada. I got my start with him in the high end of the jewelry business, selling pieces, and every piece, if you didn't handle it properly and didn't wipe it down before you put it back in the showcase, you were instructed that you got to take your fingerprints off this ring, or, wipe it down. And it was at the very high end of the business. And I went from selling charms, and we literally put them in plastic tackle boxes. Oh. You would have, a specific charm, like let's say a specific eagle, and I would have maybe 5, 10 in each little compartment. So I was running around with maybe 400 or 500 styles of different charms. I was literally carrying in a suitcase at the age of 22, 23 years old. I was carrying over $100,000 of live gold product in the trunk of my car.
The jewelry probably cost more than the car, or was that?
Oh, yeah.
That safe to say?
Yeah. I was driving a 1980 blue Firebird that lasted me through. Well, I bought it before I went to California, drove it to California, drove it back to Canada. Oh. And then when I moved to Toronto, that was my car that I drove around for the first year and a half until the thing fell apart. Because I was putting on literally about 60 to 70,000 kilometers a year on my car.
Oh, geez. I guess they call that the glory days, right? Where that was the best sales tool, is to be present in front of the customer, right? That's really the only way you move product. Yeah, that's
yeah. This was way before any of the technology that we use now or take for granted. The way to, I literally cold called them, walked into people's stores and just introduced myself.
Show them the tackle box and
what was going on?
What was going on with the insurance? That's what it was. It was a hustle.
What's going on with the insurance coverage then? I mean, they were letting you carry $100,000 worth of product.
Yeah, that's a whole other. We could have an hour-long topic or a podcast just on insurance company. Some of the ordeals of getting insured for jewelry. It is a difficult process, but the first couple of years that I was repping for the manufacturer in Montreal that I was working with, I was I was actually working for a company that was repping the manufacturer. We were able to get insurance, and we were insured for what we were carrying, but it was insurance through the manufacturer's policy.
Oh, okay.
And so when they canceled their policy, there was a period of time there for about a year or two, 18 months, where I didn't have insurance.
Oh, geez. Carrying around all that product. And even like jewelry and insurance, like you said, I don't know a ton about it, but I had a friend who spent some time working with a company out of, I think they're out of Wisconsin, doing some of their inventory management and claims management for their jewelry.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Jewelers Mutual.
Jewelers Mutual. Yeah.
Neenah, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They're my insurance company.
Yeah.
And I love talking to them because I'm originally from Beloit, Wisconsin. And I'm a big Packers fan. So I've got a few guys inside the office there that I call once in a while, and they love to chat the Packers, and they had a chuckle when I told them my name was Randy Moss too.
Oh, geez. That rivalry with Minnesota, I'm sure.
Yes.
They're like, you're pranking us, right? Like that. Yeah, no, it's no, they're interesting. Like I said, the guys that I know, I don't know if they work with them anymore, but they definitely helped with a lot of their claims management, because you can imagine once you insure it and then you sell a policy to People's or whatever place has it, and you insure that jewelry, people really don't think about that aspect of personal jewelry. And again, maybe that's something, as we talk in the pod, we can look into and talk about, because some of our viewers probably have no idea of why you even would need insurance for jewelry, or if it's even possible to have insurance for jewelry, because you see it as a ring or a necklace or something that you wear, but you don't really see it as something you insure. Now, I don't know, Neil, maybe enlighten us a bit, Randy. Like, tell me, like, what should I insure jewelry personally, or is it a waste of money? What do you think?
Well, definitely is worth getting insurance, and there's a lot of information to cover. By the way, Jewelers Mutual is an excellent company to work with, B2B. They are literally just insuring the jewelry industry and have been for over 100 years. And what they started to do over the last, I guess would be about 10 years, is that they started offering insurance to end consumers through the jewelers that they are affiliated with. So in other words, I could offer insurance to my clients through Jewelers Mutual. But the normal way of insuring your jewelry or is through your homeowner's insurance or your condo insurance. And so what a lot of people don't understand is, like, let's say you have $100,000 of insurance on content, or what we'll call condo insurance, and maybe a content of insurance of $100,000. That covers you for most items inside your condo, but there is a limit for how much each item can cost. So in other words, if you have a diamond engagement ring that's $5,000, that in most cases, every policy I'm aware of, that would exceed the limit of the policy, even though the actual full coverage is $100,000. Because that item is over, let's say $2,500 or $2,000, whatever the threshold is, you're required to have what's called a rider on the policy, or an amendment to the policy. And so that's where a jewelry appraiser or a jewelry appraisal comes in. You actually need an appraisal document. And we generally offer them on items that are over $2,000 or $2,500, so that the consumer has the option, our customer, our client has the option of insuring it. And as I said earlier, you could insure it through Jewelers Mutual through us, or you would do it the more traditional method, which is through your homeowners or condo insurance.
Got it. Got it.
And that would cover you in case, you know, the ring is lost mysteriously or stolen, or if, you know, let's say, mysterious loss or theft. Even let's say if the ring, say it's a diamond ring your wife has, and the center diamond falls out, and that, you know, whole ring is worth $5,000, and the center diamond itself is worth about $4,000. If that diamond falls out, the insurance company does replace it for you. A lot of people don't realize that it is covered under your insurance policy. No,
that's good knowledge for our listeners. They definitely, now it's one of those areas of insurance that people don't know a lot about. And
right.
It's one of those things that you hope you never need to call upon, right? Having your jewelry fall apart.
For sure. That's right.
Definitely.
You know, it's funny. Jay, we were talking a couple episodes back about, you know, hustle and working and trying to figure out exactly what we need to do in order to get things done in a certain fashion. And Randy, you and I, we were chatting earlier today, and I think you have an excellent story to tell, and talking about insurance and sort of safety. But the first thing that came to mind beforehand was just that, the safety factor, right? Like you were saying, you're pounding the pavement, working out of your car with all this jewelry. The first
out of the trunk of my car.
Yeah. First thing that came into my mind was, well, is this even safe? Like, I know you're a Montreal cat, but like, that's kind of risky business regardless, right? So I really, you know, if you could share that story with us and the audience, I think that would put things into perspective as far as the cloth that you're cut from and sort of the resilience and grit of where you are today.
And the risk involved with being in that business and doing things the way that you started out doing. I'm sure you don't do that anymore as much, but right. You know, kind of that whole overall story that would kind of be interesting to hear.
Yeah, are you talking about the robbery?
Yeah.
Is that what? It is. Well, we touched on it a little bit. You know, I did have insurance through the manufacturing company in Montreal, but when they decided to drop their insurance, they just felt they weren't comfortable with the insurance company they were dealing with. And at that time, I don't think Jewelers Mutual, which is an excellent company, was offering their insurance coverage in Canada.
Oh, okay.
So, I ran around for at least a year without insurance. But, you know, taking precautions. I used to lock up my jewelry. Believe it or not, there's a location on the corner of Yonge and King Street, downtown Toronto. And it was originally a Toronto Dominion bank. And they had an underground vault in the lower level of the TD. And this vault was it was at least 7 feet high, like seven feet in diameter probably. And it took 2 people every morning and every night to close this vault. And I could literally put my jewelry bags or my line of gold right into these vaults. I literally opened up a key, lockbox, slide the jewelry inside on a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and I could worry, you know, have a peace of mind for the whole weekend, not have to worry about it. That was excellent. But what started to happen was I found that I couldn't, hustling, and I did. Like a lot of nights I'd work till 7, 8 o'clock at night. As long as the malls were open and the jewelry stores were open and the buyers were there in the stores, independent jewelers, you know, a lot of those buyers are right in the store. They're not at a head office. And that was my focus. I did a lot of business with independent jewelers, or they might have 2 or 3, 4 stores, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of nights I'm working right past 5 o'clock, 4:45 or 4:30 is when the TD Bank closed downtown Toronto. And I could be, I don't know, up in Kitchener, Waterloo, and I wouldn't make it back. So I would literally go home and I would take my jewelry home. So yeah, you have to be a little bit undercover at that time. You know, you're not really telling. At that time, I wasn't doing too much business to consumer transactions. And the only people that really knew I was in the jewelry business were, you know, close friends. So, you know, contacts that I would meet through sports or whatnot, they didn't know a lot about what I was doing. I kept that fairly low key.
Yeah.
I had yeah.
Well, you never, and just before you tell the story, I want to interject quickly. Is like when I first met you, I had no idea that that's the business you were in. Obviously, we were playing basketball and no one's wearing rings on the court, right? So it's not like I'd see Randy taking off all his jewelry. He's got this chain on, these big rings, you know, puts it in a bag. Then he comes and plays ball. Like that was never your style. So I never really knew that that's a business you were in. I kind of stumbled upon it through a friend who knew you. I think he bought his ring from you. I don't know if you know Nathaniel and Kemp and
Yes.
Elizabeth. Yeah. So
Yes.
they're friends of mine. Matt's my former business partner. And I kind of, they said, oh, hey, I got my ring from Randy from Randor Jewellery. I'm like, that's the same Randy Moss. And then I think I put two and two together. And that's how I kind of ended up reaching out to you over and over again for my specific jewelry needs, right? It's funny how that stuff comes full circle. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to stop your story there. Keep going.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, sometimes I'll just ramble on. So anytime you feel free to interject or reel me back in. So, a lot of times I wouldn't get home till 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I decided, I was living in an apartment building for the first year and a half or two that I was in Toronto. So it was fairly safe being in an apartment building with the security. But then I moved into a townhouse in Mississauga, further south of Mississauga, Erin Mills Parkway area, and still taking my jewelry home. And at that point now I was married to a lady that we both went to the same high school in Montreal. But we only really met and started dating after I came back from GIA, studying in California. We moved to Toronto together. So by the time we moved into this townhouse, we were married, and I still couldn't get insurance, because to have insurance policies, you have to have a place of business. You can't just lock up your jewelry at home. So it was interesting. I could have insurance policy under the blanket coverage of the manufacturer in Montreal, even though I was taking my merchandise home, as long as it was in my care and possession. But once I was, they no longer had the policy, and I was setting up my own policy. I wasn't able to do so working from home. Gotcha. But anyways, I had a small safe in my basement, and I would lock up my merchandise in that safe in the basement when I couldn't make it downtown Toronto to the TD Bank. So yes, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, we had an armed robbery. Actually, someone gained access into our house by posing as flower delivery in the middle of the afternoon. And my wife was at home with our 9-month-old daughter, and they forced their way into our house with guns and waited for me to come home at 7 p.m. at night. And when I came in that night, I was ambushed by 2 men, both brandishing guns, and one of them squeezed off a shot and went right through my shoulder, through the muscle tissue in the trap area, the trapezoid. And that was when I just stepped into the house. I literally had put down my bags by the front door. I started to walk into the hall towards the living room or kitchen where I expected my wife to be. And someone had jumped out from behind a door and literally pointed a gun at me and boom, squeezed the trigger. And I did not even feel a bullet. The adrenaline, they talk about when the adrenaline, in a situation like that where adrenaline takes over, it's fight or flight. I did the wise thing. I ran out the door rather than try to fight a guy with a gun. And they chased me outside the house. They fired a second shot, missed, and then they fled. It sounds very bizarre that I would get shot and them not steal the jewelry. They actually left the 2 bags there. But what happened was they weren't very skilled at what they were doing, and they didn't secure the front door. I was the closest to the front door. And once I was outside, they felt that they couldn't contain the situation, and they ran off on foot. We later found out that they were involved with a jeweler who was involved organizing robberies of actual travelers like myself throughout Quebec and Ontario.
Oh no, wow.
And these guys ran off on foot, and they were meeting up with a vehicle later, where they ran off by foot. And we learned later from the police and from other robberies that happened that basically the mode was they were supposed to tie me up, not shoot me, but tie me up. And then they would walk away on foot, and this van would come with the jeweler, and they would pick up the bags, which contained at that time roughly over $100,000 at that point I was carrying, now closer to 150.
Oh, wow.
Terrifying story, but it happened to a few jewelers as well that they were robbed. One of the toughest things to do was to go back out on the road. For 2 or 3 days, I locked up my jewelry. I didn't go out. It was actually even harder for my ex-wife, who was traumatized more than I was because she was held hostage in the house for 3 hours. So yeah, sorry to bring the conversation down, but it was a traumatic experience, but I realized that what I'm doing in the jewelry business, I was meant to do this. I'm qualified for it. I'm committed to it. And first couple of times back out, it was tough sledding, but yeah, I
agree.
When you're carrying, product like that, you're always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
even 5-10 years later, when you forget about, the fact that you were in that traumatic situation. And there was several robberies, several attempts, robbery attempts. And actually I've been robbed twice aside from that. And both times I lost in excess of $200,000 in inventory. And luckily both those times I was covered, because after the first robbery, I decided that I'm no longer going to put my wife and my 9-month-old daughter at risk. I opened up an office in Mississauga, where I stayed for 23 years. And at that point, then I was able to get insurance.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, good story. What a little deeper. Neil seems to be speechless, which is rare. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm just processing, right? Like, I mean, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, okay, first of all, this guy's crazy because like he got shot and he still wants to like sell jewelry. But now he got robbed a couple times and he's still in the game, right? And for me, it's like, okay, good on you, number one. But number two, the amount of resilience that you have as a human being, just to go through that entire process and come out the other end and still do what you're doing, just goes to show you how committed you are to your craft, right? But I think the silver lining here is like pandemic schmandemic. You know what I mean? Like you've gone through those particular episodes in your life, and you've learned to get overcome. So when you're in a situation where there's outside influencers that are or factors that are saying, well, you can't operate right now, or you can operate now, and you can operate to this capacity, and you have to do this a certain way, and yes, if you're going to have people in, you've got to be sanitized and it's got to be scrutinized, and there's only a limited amount of people that can come in, and ray. It's like, I've been shot, man. I've been robbed twice. This is cakewalk for me. You know what I mean? Like, what's next? So I'm really curious.
It's interesting, the perspective. I like the perspective you put on it. It's although this pandemic is far greater reaching consequences than just one person, right? But yes, I mean, every business, to be in business for 33 years, nearly 33 years now, it has its challenges. There's definitely every business that survives for that long. There will be challenges that you have to overcome, and you have to have determination. You have to have a will, and you have to have a belief that you will succeed. And I've always had that. I had that inner belief that I would succeed at what I'm doing. I never doubted once that my business would, because most business fail after the first, I forget the percentages. I remember reading it after I was in business for a few years, and I said, I just shrugged that off. That's not
going to be
about
50% of businesses fail after 5 years.
It's about a belief in yourself and about a belief in your ability and determination and hard work.
Yeah.
Walk us through those challenges. So if you just have to rhyme them off, I mean, you don't have to go into the nth degree, but what would you say if you were to sum up 33 years as far as the challenges that you had to undergo? What are your top 5?
Oh, geez. Well, being able to adapt to the changing times, the technology, let's say, adapt to the technology. That's the biggest thing. The technology changes that we've seen since the early 80s to now, it's just unbelievable. And unless you're willing to constantly adapt, your business will fail.
Yeah. You
have to remain relevant.
You're saying that in relation to the jewelry business, Randy, like in terms of the technology. Okay, so technology is one. What other point can you make in terms of your business, ways that you've been resilient in business over the last 33 years or so?
Well, there's, I can remember various recessions that we've gone through, economic recessions, the stock market collapse in 87. Again, it's just a matter of dealing with the obstacles as they come and figuring out a way to make it work.
Gotcha.
Things like the stock market crash is only one obstacle. Then there's other obstacles that kind of change the direction of your plans or your business model because of things like soaring gold prices. I mean, there's things that are out of my control that kind of impacted my business. You have to be able to adapt to things like the soaring price of gold or fluctuating gold,
even the
consumers'
bad press,
demands, consumers' tastes.
bad press with diamonds, right?
Yeah, that was a challenge, right? Actually. That was a challenge that I think the jewelry industry handled very well. The jewelry business is really about establishing trust. If you don't have trust, if your customers don't trust you, you're gonna have a very hard time doing business. It's like the mechanic. Everybody takes their car to a mechanic, and if he tells you, there's something wrong with your transmission, you basically you're not there to verify it. And the same thing with a jeweler. If he tells you that you've got, this isn't really a diamond, this was an imitation diamond that you bought somewhere, you're trusting him, right?
Yeah, because your point of reference or knowledge is limited, or if not zero, to that claim. So you have to have trust in your jeweler. Your jeweler, and I said this before, is can also be almost like a pseudo counselor, right? As it relates to buying decisions, styles maybe that would be appealing, as well as maybe an overall understanding of what your message you're trying to relay, right? Like, again, with jewelry, you can say a lot, and it's an interesting business in the sense that it's not an essential item. It is something that people desire, not necessarily need. It's something that people will revere, or I don't know. I find the jewelry business and precious items in general as an interesting psychological aspect of humanity.
The luxury market.
Yeah, like it. I don't know what drew you to it initially. I know you said you met with a mentor and he encouraged you to pursue the business, and you worked in the store and all that. But what about it, Randy, do you really love and enjoy? And is it the fact when you help somebody propose and commit their life to somebody with an engagement ring, or is it something along the lines of you like how they shine? Like, what drew you and what continues to keep you passionate about what you do?
Yeah, I think it's what initially made me compassionate, or very, very interested in staying in the jewelry business was the gemology aspect of it. After I studied gemology at GIA, it really it opened up a lot of doors. It gave me an opportunity, and I quickly realized that there are people in the jewelry business that maybe second or third generation jewelers, because my family's not in the jewelry business. That's traditionally how the jewelry industry works. It's it's passed down from generation to generation. It's a very secretive business. But I quickly learned when I came back from studying at GIA, Gemological Institute of America, that I had a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise that some jewelers would spend their lives, teaching their son or their daughter the jewelry business and not have the understanding that I had. So I had a real interest in sharing my knowledge. I think that was one of the first things that I was compassionate about or passionate about was gemology, and wanting to learn even more and share with other jewelers what I learned.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's that's a good path to a business as it relates to feeling in love with the gemology aspect of it, and then running your business the way you did. And Neil mentioned it before with growth and how you hustled to the point of where you are today. In terms of the pandemic, maybe we can go back to that a little bit. Again, you've been through ups and downs in business, but anything like this is probably not the case. But tell us how, when jewelry generally is a physical purchase where people need to touch, feel, hold, look at the items that they're buying, sometimes in person, how have you maintained your volume of business, interest from your wholesalers, interest from your consumers? Like, how have you pivoted? I wouldn't use that word, but how have you pivoted the business a bit in the pandemic times to still continue to do what you do?
We were lucky. A lot of jewelry, a lot of bricks and mortars jewelry stores or jewelry businesses do not have a website, or if they do, it's just an afterthought. After the start of the pandemic, a lot of jewelers, bricks and mortars jewelers, realized that if they don't have some online presence and can't do transactions, or at least partially complete a transaction online, they're in deep trouble. The pandemic allowed us to, we were already well positioned. A lot of our business comes from through Google. Having a website, having an online presence is huge. That's what allowed us to, although it was a bump in the road with, having to close and all the restrictions that were put in place, we were still able to sail relatively steady waters through that whole early period, the first 2-3 months of the 2020 year, or the first 3-4 months.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So what would you say, you touched on it earlier when you referenced technology. So what is it about the change in technology that has you, I don't want to say as a challenge, but an adaptable landscape for you and your business to operate successfully? What areas of technology is it? Because when you say technology, it could be anything, right? It could be new social media channels. It could be, the different changes with regards to advertising regulations on various outlets. It's
the technology of online selling that really changed my business dramatically. Being able to, not only sell, but being able to buy, being able to transact with vendors that are halfway around the world that I've never met before, all because of the internet.
That's interesting. So how do you validate authenticity, quality? Those, to me, I would be the most weary of those aspects, because when I buy something from Amazon online and it shows up broken, I send it back, and my expectation of it, of my $13 that I spent is very low. But if I'm spending 100,000, 20,000,
it goes back to the trust. It goes back to the trust factor we talked about earlier. In the jewelry business, trust is huge. I mean, the jewelry industry, the diamond business in particular, is so like deals are made in the Hebrew word mazal. Mazal means like it's a handshake, and a mazal means we have a deal, and it's your word is your bond. Like if you tell somebody that you've got this diamond for this price, and I guarantee you that this diamond is such and such and such, if you say those words, that's your reputation. You're staking your reputation on your claims. And when you make a deal and you say either mazal over the phone, or you shake hands and you confirm a deal, that's you can't break that deal in the diamond business. But going forward to how technology has changed it, where I'm able to buy, let's say, loose diamonds half from suppliers halfway around the world, in India, for example, without ever even meeting them, is because of the technology. The fact that I can see live videos of diamonds with 30 power resolution, high magnification resolution. I can see videos of these diamonds. The GIA report, again, the Gemological Institute of America, it's the #1 laboratory worldwide. They're so highly respected, and their grading reports are so thorough that jewelers are able, like myself, I shouldn't say jewelers, gemologists or diamond specialists are able to trade diamonds on these certificates on through the internet, on the phone, without ever even seeing each other. And yes, there is a certain amount, even with, you know, videos and with the GIA reports that accompany, in other words, a document that accompanies that diamond, there still is some trust factor in the suppliers you're working with.
No.
And so, you know, there's a trading platform there's a number of trading platforms that we use to buy and sell diamonds, you know, business to business. And if someone, you know, breaches a trust or, you know, doesn't uphold their end of the bargain or their end of the deal, you can write a bad review in these trading platforms, these dealer to dealer trading platforms.
Okay.
No different than if you know, bought something from an online seller of, I don't know, whatever the product might be. You could write a bad review. You could write a bad Google review. So yeah, that's where technology in the last, you know, it's the internet, the fact that we're able to have our goods displayed online on a website, and the advancement of the technology that allows us to trade diamonds, not only from business to business, but business to consumer. There's a lot of consumers who are comfortable enough after they've done a bit of research to literally buy their diamonds as well online through online sellers. As long as it has a GIA grade report, they feel comfortable enough to make that purchase, knowing that that seller has some good reviews or has a lot of good reviews, and the fact that they guarantee that they can return the item within 30 days if it's not, you know, if it's not suitable for them, just like you can when you're buying something online with, you know, clothing, let's say, for example.
There's a lot of risk involved there, though. No, I mean, I'm not questioning the risk as far as your delivery in order to go direct to consumer. But let's just go down this rabbit hole for a minute real quick.
Sure.
Because this is all new to me, and I'm really intrigued. So I'm working overseas and I'm looking to sell to you. And
to the North American market.
Yeah, and you've got your grades and sort of all the certification that goes through to qualify whether or not this is, you know, a G or an E diamond,
correct,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you agree to whatever purchase price. How do they transport? What's the logistics around that?
Yeah,
like because you're buying in bulk, right? You're not just buying one diamond. You're buying.
Sometimes I'm only buying one diamond from that particular seller.
Interesting.
It's big enough, so Neil. It's worth it.
So yeah, that's, you know, there's, you know, some transactions are upwards of $20,000-$30,000 US, and I'm wiring money to overseas suppliers for a $20,000 or $30,000 on a single diamond, and so, you know, the cost to ship them, I don't want to get into too many secrets of how we ship them, because we want to keep that, but they are shipped secured through companies like Brinks, an Israeli company called Malkamit. These are specialty companies that we use to ship these diamonds. But let's say if I were buying, I don't know, a diamond from a supplier that has, you know, the diamond's only $1,000 or $2,000. Well, the cost of shipping is about $200 US. Just doesn't pay to have that one diamond sent. So there's a number of different ways we go about. One of the, you know, again, adaptability. How am I going to compete with the online sellers that I am competing with? So I have an agent that I work with overseas in Mumbai, who collects stones because the cutting factories are all in India, and Mumbai is the largest trading area, distribution area for the global market. So I have an agent in Mumbai who will collect smaller stones for me, put them all together. I pay him a commission, and he ships them to me under one shipment. So there's ways to get, to get one small diamond to me, or whether it's in a group with 5 or 10 others, or to get one large stone to the Canadian market.
Gotcha.
And we manufacture, so we're talking about just the certified loose diamonds, but we manufacture a lot of the jewelry right here in Canada that we put those very important gemstones into.
Yeah, well, that's key. On-site manufacturing and having stuff done in North America also can reduce your costs, et cetera, because diamonds circulate and they recycle. It's not like diamonds can easily be broken down and melted down and then remade into diamonds. Diamonds are very distinct and unique that way, right? Every diamond is as they say, has a unique signature and a unique aspect to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting business. Diamonds in itself, I'm sure we could have a long podcast and talk about the intricacies of the diamond business and how diamonds as a precious, let's say metal as a precious item have such an interesting aspect and story to them, from like these giant diamonds that they find in Africa to, the different colored diamonds, which we were talking about the other day, and how their value and rareness start to drive up their cost. Now, I think one thing I wanted to ask as we kind of move toward the end of our conversation that I think is it may be of value to the folks that are tuning in is what's your opinion on the value of precious jewelry and other metals against some of these new things that are coming about, like your NFTs, so which is the non-frugal tokens, which is that whole digital aspect of creating a digital record of a physical item in some cases. So, and then, Bitcoin and some of the other things that are competing with gold as the global standard. And I don't know how read up you are on all this stuff, Randy, but I'd be curious to hear your opinion. Yeah.
I am a little bit older than you guys, and I am literally old school. I don't believe in stuff that I can't touch, feel, or at least, I just, the technology of Bitcoin, I'm very skeptical of that whole, the stock market is one thing. I think investing in stock is obviously very important. Investing in stocks and companies, blue chip companies. I believe in putting a little bit of money in cash. Maybe it is Bitcoin or whatever the case may be. And I believe in putting money in gold, even if I wasn't in the jewelry business, because gold has always been a hedge against inflation. And if the financial system collapses, where let's say that, the US dollar collapses or other currencies or major currencies collapse, what are we going to trade? Bitcoin may be one, but I think gold will also be something that is an object that is worth value. There is value there. And I think if things like Bitcoin, I guess are good investments. I don't have any money in Bitcoin, but I think you need to diversify. You need to have stock in not only paperless assets, but you need stock in, you need investment in a tangible asset, something you can hold. I don't even think having, just a certificate for a gold bar is as comfortable or as gives me as much peace of mind as actually owning or holding onto, or in my safety deposit box, actually holding 24 karat gold. You did talk earlier, you touched on it a few minutes ago, that diamonds, you really can't melt down. You can't, diamonds can be bought and sold, but there's a very, very limited market. It's hard to, be able to sell, but 24 karat pure gold bar bullion, not in jewelry form, but in pure gold 24 karat, that's tradable every day. It's traded on the open market. And so, I think having gold is I do know that I have friends that are closer to my age who are no longer in the banking business, but they retired from the banking business, and they also are putting, actually have come to me to buy gold bullion, or get advice where to buy gold bullion, because they want to have that hedge against the potential of the financial system collapsing. you know, the dollar, the currency markets collapsing.
Yeah. No, I definitely find value in physical assets, but yeah, you're right. I wouldn't say it's an age thing, but you definitely want to have an understanding of what other options are out there, right? Like I know a lot of these youngsters are very crazy and overwhelmed by all these new ways of justifying digital assets. And I'm surprised, and maybe again, I don't have the knowledge of the research here, but I'm surprised that they haven't tried to attach NFT type of relationship or blockchain records to jewelry. Because jewelry, essentially, when you look at these technologies, it creates a uniqueness and a unique identifier that's digitally signed that cannot be changed, cannot be altered, cannot be broken to an asset, right? Like that's why you're getting a lot of these NFT projects around, you know, baseball cards, basketball cards, collectibles. Jewelry is a collectible. So either it's out there and I don't know about it, or it's something that should be coming soon, because jewelry is a very unique, especially with diamonds, a very unique aspect of, you know, the world that we live in. So,
right. So yes, I do know that there is some talk of that. Actually, I have someone that I do work with that suggested that, you know, we should start looking into that, because there's this whole thing about how people will pay for digitally for something. And again, that's something that I can learn from you guys, because I really haven't looked into that too much. Again, going back to what I'm saying, you know, I grew up in this business, and a lot of people felt that you should have a third of your money in cash, a third of your money in gold, and a third of your money in diamonds. And for people that, you know, lived through, let's say, First and Second World Wars, you know, especially the diamond business for many, many decades was dominated by Jewish people. And, you know, going through the Holocaust or going through whatever, you know, situations that anybody would be involved in, let's say at wartime, where you're displaced or you're, you know, you lose your assets or you lose your home, or you've got to run for your you know, your life, or you're literally running for your life and you're leaving behind your home and everything else. Gold is a hard thing to put in your pocket and carry. You know, a kilo bar of gold is heavy. And so diamonds are very lightweight, and diamonds could be transported, millions of dollars could be transported in several little pockets and purses, whereas gold would be a lot harder to carry millions of dollars way back then. So like, I still have that old school mentality, you know, jewelers, you put a third of your money in gold, third in diamonds. And of course, I think real estate is very important too. I think real estate, again, I'm about something I can see, touch, feel. The whole digital premise is, it's kind of outside of my scope of understanding.
Yeah, no, I'm not there yet. So
Randy, you talked a little bit about adapting. You know, obviously you've been around for quite some time, and I'm sure you've seen some trends along the way, right? Whether it's, you know, the silver trend, and then white gold came in, and then,
yes,
you know, obviously what's old is new again with 18 karat to 24 coming back into the market. What are the kids asking for these days? Like, I know there's been a little bit of a thing with, you know, not looking for diamonds. Maybe it's a birthstone or some other type of gem. What are they coming into you? The young whippersnappers that are getting married these days. What are they
you know, the internet is such an influence. Culture, music, sports figures. The young people today are very impressionable. So when they're growing up, they see what the hip hop industry, that crowd is wearing. They see what sport figures are wearing. They don't only influence, you know, clothing. They also influence attitudes, including jewelry, like clothing, jewelry, attitudes. And when we have people coming in here, it's such a diverse cross-section, you know, that come in here. We have, I really can't say that there's any one trend that's, you know, particularly popular right now. You have things like, you know, that influence like the monarchy even influences the type of jewelry that women want. You know, the fact that way back when in the early 80s, Princess Diana, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, had a beautiful blue sapphire and diamond ring given to her by the prince. And she, after she passed away, they gave that to one of his sons, his oldest son, gave that to his bride, his mother's sapphire ring. I can't tell you how many, like literally thousands of Lady Diana rings, we call them Lady Di rings, that we used to sell in the early 80s. And then in the latest wave, when that ring was reused for, I'm drawing a blank on her name now, but in the royal family.
Is it Princess Kate?
Yes.
And
Kate. Kate.
What's his name? William.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that sapphire and diamond engagement ring style has come back again. It's very, very strong. But yeah, there's all kinds of influences. I mean, we see influences from all different areas.
Yeah. So,
and it really depends on the person who's coming to us. Like, you know, they're influenced. Different people are influenced by different leaders or figures or personalities.
I think what Neil really wants to know is how much would it cost for an iced out watch and a pair of iced out fronts? I think that's what Neil's really looking for.
He wants a grill?
A grill, yeah. How much one of those run, Randy, to make one of those, to put one of those together? And the other question is, have you ever made one?
So
I want to get you in trouble.
Some jewelers are specialize in grills.
Okay.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
But
sorry, Neil.
I whenever someone comes to me for a grill, I will refer them to various guys that I know in the industry that do specialize in that. But if you came to me and you had a Cartier watch or a Rolex watch or a Patek Philippe, and you wanted to ice that thing out, I'd be happy to help you with that. And I recently did that for a customer, a gentleman who had a Cartier Santos. And we iced out, it's stainless steel and 18 karat yellow gold accents on it. And we completely iced out this watch. And it was in the low 5 digits that he spent just in getting that watch iced out.
Oof. Not bad, eh, Neil? See, it's possible.
And some people call it busting down, like you bust down a Rolex. So they say bust it down, like you're drilling a bunch of holes in it to put these diamonds in, right? Like just the whole thing is iced out, the links, everything that isn't, part of the sapphire crystal and the movement itself is all diamonds.
Jeez. Quite an undertaking. So I don't know how we ended up here, Neil, but with your question originally, we were talking about what's hot and trendy.
Yeah. I think what's really popular is everybody wants signature pieces. I think we're doing a lot more custom jewelry, whatever the style may be, whether it's a grill or a iced out Rolex, or whether it's a cross. Like I recently had a gentleman come in to see me who, he's a survivor of cancer. He had a form of cancer. I forget now what it was, but he couldn't have been more than 35, 40 years old and a survivor of cancer. And at first he showed me this image that he found online, and I didn't know exactly what I was looking at, but it was a cancer cross. It was basically a cross with a ribbon wrapped around it. And I came to realize after doing a little bit of research, that was the cancer cross, the cancer ribbon. So I made him a diamond cross that is worth about $20,000. And, that's very personal to him. It was very important to him. And although he didn't end up paying $20,000, but the value of getting that done at the retail level would have been easily $20,000. But again, it's a completely iced out piece. Like, I mean, it's about this big, and you can't miss it when he's wearing it on his neck. It's about, I think what we specialize in is bringing to life ideas or emotions or a dream that somebody has, whether it's an engagement ring or commemorating a special gift, a special date with a gift. That's, you know, that's what we do. So there is a trend, I guess I could say, Neil, the trend is custom jewelry, something that's unique, one of a kind. People really do dig the idea of having something that's completely their own, only one of a kind.
Yeah, no.
And that could be something for $200, or it could be something for, you know, $20,000.
So what's next for you, Randy? I mean, you've been around the block for some time. Obviously, there's some longevity, and with regards to your brand, your quality. I mean, there's no other jeweler that I know that's been in business for 33 years by fluke. The mere fact that the giants of your industry haven't sort of chopped you down, so to speak, and you're still standing, is a testament to, you know, who you are as a person, but also the following that you have, right? I mean, word of mouth marketing, when people are happy. I think Jay's been back, what, 6 or 7 times now, Jay, he said? And then you're getting a Hustlemode thing done for me, right? So that's good. So he'll be back
chain with a spinner.
Randy, just to let you know. But how do you not have a Napoleon complex? I mean, for the guys that are out there that are, you know, maybe they're entering into their 10th year of business, and they're like, shit, do I wrap this thing up, man? Where's the exit strategy? Am I looking for the payout in order for me to retire? How do you hang in there for all those years and still battle with the giants?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of realizing what you are, who you are, and being comfortable in your own skin, and realizing that, you know, you're not Tiffany's, you're not Burke's, or, you know, you're not Jacob the jeweler, or whoever, you know, is, you're not Rolex. You're a small company that, you know, we're a small family business, and we realize that, and we don't get overwhelmed by the fact that there are, you know, multinationals out there or large companies that keep buying up other companies in the luxury brand. It seems that the luxury, you know, groups are getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get discouraged. I like what I do. We make a decent living at it. I'm driven by, you know, for the last 10 to 15 years, I got a little bit burnt out with dealing with retail stores, because B2B, because you end up, you're always chasing your money. You're always, you know, you're giving credit, and I don't want to, you know, sound like a crybaby, but if I could basically, if I had all the money that I've lost in jewelry stores going bankrupt on me, I would probably be retired by now. So what's really interesting, and what I really like, and what's really kept me motivated and is driving me still at 59 years of age, I'm going to be 60 this November, is that I like what I'm doing now, which is B2C, which is business to consumer. I don't have to worry about, you know, my money at night. I don't have $100,000-$200,000 of receivables out there every single day. My money is in my business here, and I really do enjoy. I love helping people come in when they're looking for engagement rings or wedding bands, and, you know, after they, you know, their engagement ring, then their wedding band, it's great to see them in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the case may be. They're coming back to get something for their wife as a push gift, or they want to get their wife a 5th anniversary gift. When they come back, that's the reward.
Jay, a push gift, just because, you know, it's been a while, is when you have a baby and the baby comes at the wife's pushing out the baby. The guys now have to buy a gift for their spouse. Hey, thankfully, I didn't have to do that with the push gift. We were blessed with 2 kids. That was the gift itself. You know what I mean? So
I've got to tell you guys, I'll never forget the first time somebody came in. It was a lady came in and said, you know, she was kind of shopping, just looking at the showcases and kind of, you know, dreaming, you know, this, I'd like this and that. And she goes, you know, he's going to have to buy me a push gift. And I just said, oh yeah. And I just kind of pretended like I knew what she was talking about. I had no idea what a push gift was either. And I thought, wow, this is great. Another gift giving occasion that requires men to go buy a piece of jewelry for their wife. Yeah. I love it. I don't know who came up with the idea, but
yeah, you need a push gift special.
Yeah. God bless them.
There's gonna be a COVID baby burst. Don't worry, you're gonna get a lot of push gifts just now, Randy. That's all good.
Yeah.
Listen, as a way to close today, I want to thank you very much for dedicating this hour and a bit. I can't believe it's been almost an hour and a half that we're having this conversation. So really, thank you from both Jason and I. I think you brought a lot of insight, a lot of sort of legacy building, and added value for our audience to take away from tonight's conversation. So we really appreciate that. As a way for people to find you, why don't you just drop your tags, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, we have an Instagram page. We also have a website. We'll start with the website. It's randor.com. I have it actually behind me. I don't know if you can see that screen.
Yeah, we'll put all the links in the description for the YouTube channel. But so randor.com is the website, and what's the
Randor Jewellery on Instagram.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you the links after we. I guess I've got Jason's email. I can send them along to you guys.
Coordinate with me, and we'll make sure we get them posted so people can know how to get a hold of you if they're looking to equip themselves or their significant other with some great jewelry options. And to obviously learn more about what you're doing, follow you on social, and make sure that if they have questions, they can reach out.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thanks for having me on, and I hope it's going to be beneficial for your viewers.
Awesome. Listen, guys, if you found value in today's episode, please make sure to smash that like button. Be sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell. Again, if you're listening to us and you found value, be sure to tag a friend. This episode is going to be saved in your favorites, and hopefully you'll find some value as you continue to listen once again as it's live. On behalf of my colleague Jason and our new friend Randy, thank you very much for your Hustlemode, and we'll see you on the next one.